Gobble gobble, mother cluckers. It's time for another Thanksgiving preview. Ryan Wade here as we get ready for the Thanksgiving games, as well as looking back at the Week 12 games. And of course, NFL news. You got the Bills picked up old man Brandon Cooks
No,
to
baby.
extend. Yeah, that's good. I mean, he had
The
some good
sad
years in Houston.
thing is, it's probably our best receiver. Like even
Yeah,
just picking up now, that's how grim it's gotten. So I mean, it can't get any worse than it was last week.
yeah.
So like, listen, I mean, we should get the water boy Bobby Boucher back in for
There you go.
one to come in. Anyone who can catch the ball, we will take right now
Yeah,
at this point. So yeah, it could be good.
sure.
So, I
No,
mean, he hasn't really done much in a few years, but he also had Spencer Rattler and not really great quarterbacks the last couple of years. But he was with Dallas and didn't really do much. So I'm not expecting much at all.
no. Maybe just as something for Josh Allen to extend, because obviously after the loss last week, I didn't realize if you guys lose to Pittsburgh this week, you're out. You're not going to make the playoffs.
Well, I mean, it'll feel that way. So it's a huge
I
game.
thought so. I read something mathematically. It said you were out, but
No,
who
that's
knows?
not true. That's fake news.
We'll, we'll
It is fake news.
we'll figure that out. Look, we'll look at some of the games. The Bears get a win. Mason Rudolph had to come in. Aaron Rodgers couldn't handle it, but the Bears won 31-28 to put us to 8-3. Ugly game. You guys got to face the Steelers this week, but
Yeah,
Caleb Williams was able to get the job done.
get 3 touchdowns again. That the Bears are just the kings of the one-score games. They remind me of like
Yeah.
the Vikings a couple years ago and like the Giants a couple years ago, where no one expected them to kind of do this. They're just the thing with the Bears is now this is where their schedule gets really tough. The next kind of 4 or 5 weeks is where they're going to have now a lot of big
Yeah.
games coming up in their schedule. So to get wins against these teams are the ones you have to kind of get, especially considering you got the Lions and the Packers literally nipping at your heels. So I mean, give Ben Johnson credit. This is what you kind of wanted. He's kind of
Yeah.
stabilized Caleb. Caleb, he hasn't been as good as you'd hoped, but he has definitely not been as bad as you feared,
Yeah.
I would say. And I think
It's Ben
now,
Johnson's play calling too, which I like.
and
Yeah.
it took what? It took like almost like even Jared Goff, like over almost like a year and a bit to really,
Yeah.
when he first took over with Ben Johnson, they were like 0-11 or something to start Ben Johnson, but once that offense got clicking, he knew it, he understands it, and he's going to be with it for years. I mean,
Yeah.
good things are coming. I think the Bears look quite good, and they got good defense. They keep getting turnovers, but you
Yeah,
can't
and we're getting
depend on
healthier
this.
too,
You
which is
can't
also good.
depend on massive turnovers and close wins to get you far. So you're playing with a double-edged sword, my friend.
No, it is always tough. I mean, let's talk about two of the Patriots' first team to get the 10th win, but it wasn't easy. The Bengals making it tough for them, but the Patriots finally get it. They rally behind and get the win. But Patriots are now 10-2, a top team in the league right now in your division, making it tough for you
Yeah.
guys as well.
I mean, I actually found it a bit. I feel a bit better now after watching that because again, well, the Patriots lost pretty much their left side of their offensive
Yeah, a
line
lot of injuries.
with some injuries. I don't think they're as bad, but they'll be out the next couple of weeks, so that's going to make it tough because again, Cincinnati. I think if Jamar Chase played, I think Cincinnati wins this game. I think the fact
Yeah,
that near the end of the game, they had no T. Higgins, they had no Jamar Chase, they had no Joe Burrow, and they still had a chance to win it at the end of the game. Like, it's just
yeah,
one of those things. They just didn't have the horses. They managed to stop the Patriots, I think, like 6 times on the one, just really
yeah.
being able to. So, I mean, if you're a Patriots fan now, you're lucky you got that win. You're happy you got that win. But I think even this week coming up against the Giants, is going to be a lot tougher game considering how well we saw the Giants play. And if you got two big spots missing on your offensive line, the Giants have a really good front four that can come at you. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a tough game for the Patriots. A lot tougher than I think they thought it would have been a couple weeks ago when they were probably laughing at this game. Now it's like, actually,
Yeah, I mean, let's
this could be a
talk
tricky
about those
game.
Giants. Yeah, those
Mm.
Giants. I mean, Jameis Winston, always a great
Just
soundbite, always exciting. But it was Jameer Gibbs. Anyone who played against him in fantasy, 55 points, which I did.
yikes.
That wasn't fun. But so many points on the board, 34-27. Giants looked like they was in it. They were in it for a while. And Detroit, I think they were 10-point favorites. Giants covered this game. Giants still, Jameis makes it look fun, but the Lions get a much needed win at home.
I think honestly, I think this is one of the Giants is one of the best jobs for next year when the jobs come up, like who wants to I
Hmm.
think you got it solid. That front four is really good. They can come at you, and you got a young quarterback, Jackson Dart, if he's in Scatabo, as long as they don't helmet dive their heads into walls in the offseason and
Yeah.
concuss themselves repeatedly. I mean, and Jameis is just a national treasure. I love Jameis. I feel like you can tell me from watching that shouldn't be a starter in this league when you're seeing some of the
Yeah,
quarterback play around the league. You tell me the
yeah,
Bengals shouldn't have traded for Jameis and just kind of gone with that with Jamar Chase. Jameis would have he threw for almost 400 yards with nobody out there one day.
oh
He
yeah,
caught a ton. He caught a ton. I think Jameis,
yeah,
the fact that you got this, I feel like you should just sign Jameis with the intent on trading him at some point when all the injuries and bad quarterback play
sure,
happens.
yeah.
He should
Week
just be like
7,
that
he's gone.
asset. Asset. You just sign him in
Yeah,
the offseason. Let him. He'll give you some good sound bites in the offseason, the training camp, and teammates will love him. And then you trade him for like a fifth round pick when someone gets hurt. I was shocked nobody came for him.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
great, and he almost beat the Lions, who are like
yeah,
Dan Campbell, and they probably should have if Jamaica Case doesn't go nuclear on them. I think the Giants, and again, the Giants have lost a lot of these games. They could be like right in the thick of it, 6-5, but
yeah,
they've lost so many bad games when they've had the lead. They could have beaten Denver. They could have beaten like tons of teams, and they've blown it so many times. But I think it's promising. I think the Giants are promising. They're doing this even without Malik Neighbors, who's going to make them even more dynamic. So I think if you're a
yeah.
Giants
No,
fan, you're happy with that. That's fun.
it was a yeah an emotional win that they had to get, but it was a close and it was sort of nail biter for them because it did look the Giants like had a chance in it. Same as when you look at the Titans and Seahawks. Sam Darnold, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, but it was 30-24. I mean, Titans were trying to keep themselves in it. I think there's that desperation of being 1-10 now. But you just don't want to be the worst team in the league like that. But Seattle, it was 16-3 at the half, and then Titans get 14 points in the third quarter and almost make a game out of it.
Yeah, they scored, I think, like 21 straight points almost. It was like 30-10 at one point, and feeling comfortable
Hmm.
about that point spread. And then all of a sudden, you looked over and it was like, what the hell? Yeah, I think this is, if you're Titans, I feel like this is a good thing. Cam Ward did really well against one of the best defenses in the league with no weapons. He still threw for
Yeah,
258 and a touchdown, no interceptions.
yeah,
He held his own. He kind of, so get this guy some weapons in the offseason and a running back, just go all offense and just kind of give this guy a chance because he's been all right the last couple of weeks. He started off terribly. And what can you just say about Jackson Smith and Jigba? Like this guy is
yeah,
just he's absolutely, if you just bet on him every week, you'd be rich right now. I think he's probably hit
yeah,
the over in every game except maybe one. I think he's probably had one game under. He's incredible. He's fun to watch. You can just
yeah.
look over and every time you look at the screen, he's catching it for 30, 40 yards. Unbelievable. And you see the Vikings how just couldn't how bad they were. Watching Sam Darnold
Just
just
horrible.
kind of
JJ McCarthy is,
just
yeah, Demarcus Russell kind of stats.
I
So,
mean, it's
uh,
not even that. We can talk about that game. That game was like JJ McCarthy. You almost feel bad for him because he had to. I think if Sam Darnold came in last year and kind of threw up on himself and played like shit and played like Sam Darnold of old and JJ McCarthy this year, you'd kind of just accept it. You'd be like, all right, listen, Sam
yeah,
was bad. He unfortunately had to. He lost his job, and then a guy came in and won 14 games and looks and almost threw for 40 touchdowns. So it was the worst thing that could have happened to him. And I just don't know how you keep going with this guy. I mean, I think he's going to have another injury where they're just going to be
yeah.
like, yeah,
He's in
Nancy,
concussion
yeah,
protocol this weekend,
they're
apparently.
gonna,
So, yeah,
yeah, Nancy Kerrigan him and Kevin O'Connell's going to take a
yeah,
steel club to the knee, knock him down. Because I mean, it's bad. It's bad out there. Like
yeah,
even watching now you're going to have an angry Justin Jefferson, and it's kind of screwed Kevin O'Connell, who was the quarterback whisperer, and now he just
yeah.
I don't know what to do. I think Minnesota made a huge miscalculation and bit them, and they're biting themselves for it in the same way the Bills did with their receiver room, thinking that Josh Allen
Yeah.
can just carry them. They thought Kevin O'Connell can make anybody work, and he can't. He can't.
Let's talk about this Chiefs game because it looked like the Colts had them by 11 points, and they rally into overtime, kicked the field goal, but it would have dropped the Chiefs to 5-6. Now they're 6-5. It was at home, but the Colts seemed to have this, and they just let it go.
Yeah,
Mahomes
what
didn't even look that good. His scrambling ability, it just didn't look like the same old Mahomes.
it reminded me of like the old Patriots games where it's just like teams would have them on the ropes and then they'd go three and out, three and out, because
Hmm.
that's what the Colts did. They just kept going three and out, and like it was 20-9. The game was like well in
Yeah,
control. They would just kind of go, and then the fact that the Chiefs, Kareem Hunt had 30 carries for 100 yards,
yeah,
like 30 carries, Kareem Hunt, who never gets that. It just kind of showed that. they just couldn't get, even though the passing game looked all right, it was all a lot of it at the very end of the game where they kind of like they ran so many plays compared to Indianapolis that the Indy's defense was just shot by the end of it. They were
Yeah,
just kind of running on fumes, and Mahomes was able to kind of squeak out this win. I think it's a bad loss for Indy. I think this is one of those ones that you can kind
yeah,
of now you're going to kind of see them just start maybe, but because they got games against Houston that are going to be tough, games against Jacksonville that are going to
yeah.
be tough, and if you're a Colts fan, this is two games on the road where Daniel Jones didn't look particularly great. I mean, he had two touchdowns, but 180 yards. It wasn't Jonathan Taylor who wasn't able to do anything. I think every Colts fan's like, oh no, is this the real Daniel Jones? Is he turning into a pumpkin again?
Yeah, it was a declination for them, and you're sort of wondering, is like, as you say, is this a downward trajectory for them? It almost looked the same when we talked about the Ravens, who won 23-10, but Lamar didn't look that great. He was sort of
Ugh.
left the game injured. Eric Henry gets the two touchdowns, but it was 23-10 over the Jets. And 21 carries for Henry for 64 yards. He's Hall, four receptions, 75 yards, but they just didn't look that good. Tyrod Taylor, that's who you beat, and it wasn't that big of a game where you sort of see the Ravens struggling.
Well, it was going into the fourth. I think they were winning almost. I think, or pretty
Yeah,
much late into the third that they were winning.
it was
Yes, I
7-3
mean,
going into the in after half. Yeah,
you can't watch this and you can't watch the Ravens and think Lamar's healthy. There's just no way
yeah.
compared to how well he played last year, how dominant he was. Maybe Henry's slowing down a bit. I think that is definitely possible. I think again, the wear and tear this guy's taken, the carries over the years, it has to start eventually. But
Hmm.
luckily, the good thing is that the Steelers are just imploding themselves. So like they, even though they were 1-5, they won five straight, but no one feels good about any of these wins. That Baltimore
No,
did. No, I don't feel that. Here come the Ravens, five straight wins. Now they're going to make it. It's just I wouldn't be afraid of playing this Ravens team right now. Like, and I don't feel like in December Lamar's going to get healthier. If this is a time where now
yeah,
he needs to find a way to, and he couldn't get it turned around with a team that just traded Sauce Gardner, not really playing for anything, no weapons, and it was a real struggle. I mean, it was a yikes victory for the Ravens.
yeah. No, for sure. We talk about now the Browns who get a win. Shadur gets his first win, but it's a Raiders implosion. Chip Kelly gets fired. Tom Brady's not happy with everything. Miles Garrett, another three-sack game as he just continues to sack Arama in
Yeah.
this one. But the Geno Smith, 30 for 44, 285 yards. Genty couldn't
No,
get
no,
anything
that's not
going.
what it that was Gino.
Sorry,
Shadur
Geno
was
Smith. Sorry, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Gino also flipped off the Raiders fans as he was going off, so
Yeah,
things
no,
are
that
going.
was, yeah. Well, Aaron Rodgers did it first in
Yeah,
Chicago, but
things are going
he
really
kept it
well. I
going.
mean, Shadur was fine. I mean, his touchdown was like a 66-yard dump off. So I mean,
Yeah,
it was fine. I don't. Again, he's only been trying for a week, and you beat the Raiders. So I mean, it's going to get a lot harder. But the only story is
yeah,
Miles Garrett now, who you can probably trade for like three number ones. I mean, depends on
yeah.
what you think. I mean, are you going to go with Shadur? Like, does Stefanski even make this job? So they're going to bring in a new coach. I don't know what's going to happen with the Browns. It just and the Raiders to me is just like they. I mean, they just keep firing coaches and moving on, and nothing's working. And I mean, just watching Pete Carroll just feels sad. It's like elder abuse watching him just
Yeah.
have to. It's like he's being punished to coach the Raiders. I bet you he regrets this every single day, except the nice weather. He probably likes it out there.
Yeah,
It is,
sure. It's Vegas,
it's probably,
baby. Whatever stays here happens there, and nobody
but
talks about it.
yeah. So it's
Let's talk
a
about that.
bad game, bad game, bad game. No one cares.
Yeah. How about the Cowboys coming rallying from behind to beat the Eagles 24-21? Dak Prescott gets it going. George Pickens had a good game, a little hurt in this game, but another 146 yards. But, the Cowboys were able to put it together. Looks like they were down. They were down 21-7 at the half, and they come back and put 17 points on in the second half of the game,
Yeah,
holding the Eagles to
listen,
0 points.
I mean, it was just the fact that the Eagles were just dominating the game defensively, and then they just kind of let them stick around the whole time, no matter what. They just once Dallas kind of got a bit of momentum, it just felt like that Philly was going to lose this. They haven't been, AJ Brown had his best game, but again, they cannot get Saquon going. No matter what, even against
Hmm.
this team where everyone's been able to run on the Cowboys, it just something feels wrong with this. The fact that Saquon is so dominant last year, gets this huge pay
Yeah.
raise and everything, and he's barely even cracked 100 yards in a game. I mean, if you're Philly, this is a devastating Philly loss because you always lose to the Cowboys. It hurts. I just think there's still problems, and you're gonna have to rely on this defense to kind of really shut people down, especially if your offense can only really score 21 points against a team that the Panthers put up
Yeah.
30 on the Cowboys. Like this is a team that you should be able to. We have weapons all over the place. You should be able to crush them. And it's I don't know, bad vibes in Philly. Bad vibes.
Yeah, you feel like it's got to be they're got to shake off. It's like they're stuck in a fog or something. It's like, what are you guys doing? And it's sort of the infighting between the team as well. And you're sort of like, you guys really have to get it together if you want to repeat. It's just not that easy. It's not a gimme. It's not like you're the Chiefs. So
Yeah.
interesting, especially when you see that the Rams decimated a broken down Bucks team. Obviously Baker Mayfield gets hurt. Not as bad news as we thought he'll miss this week, but 34-7. That defense for the Rams is just fierce. But Devontae Adams gets a couple of touchdowns. Matt Stafford, 3 touchdowns, just looking good. The Rams, it's going to be, who's going to stop the Rams now? What's going to happen? Is we going to have a Rams Patriots Super Bowl again?
Just kill me. Just kill me. I don't see how anyone doesn't see the Rams as the best team in the NFL, to be honest with you. They're so
Hmm.
balanced. But I feel like Kyrie Williams is fine. The running game's not that great, but when you have Puka and you can just kind of sling it the way Stafford is, he's having his best year of his career right now. He looks as
Yeah,
good as he's ever been. And Sean McVay's just again a team that has like 90 million in cap room next year. Like they've done everything wrong. All these GMs who hold on to their picks, like they're literally worth billions, like Bitcoin. Like there's no one ever gonna
yeah,
hold them. And you got the Rams who are just f these picks, trading them everywhere, and they're still the best team in football without those picks. And now they have all this cap room, which they can now spend on Puka, Jared Verse, sorry, all these guys.
yeah,
They're this button up team, and the Bucks are just a mess. They're injured. They're gonna have to probably sit
yeah.
Baker, and that whole division's up for grabs. Like it kind of made the Falcons still in it somehow, consider all things considered. But considering the Panthers, which we all assumed would have a terrible game against, they could always follow up a great Bryce Young game with a terrible Bryce Young game. So it wasn't. He didn't really do
Yeah,
anything.
they
The
still
fact that
keep on pace at 500 though at 6-6. For the
that's what I
for the
mean. So
Panthers, they're still in it.
they're still in it. They're still in it. So I
Yeah.
think coming into this week, it's kind of fun, and we got great games for Thanksgiving this week. So let's get into them.
Let's get into Thanksgiving now. The weather in North America is going to be frightful. Not in Detroit, you don't have to worry
Not,
about that.
yeah.
But we do have Baltimore. We'll have to worry about it. Some snow squalls coming in. Going to have snow all weekend. Let's start in Green Bay, who are 7-3-1, heading into Detroit. Where Jared Goff does well in a dome. 7-4. Detroit is 2.5 point favorites with a 49 point over under. Green Bay, they beat up on, and their defense mostly beat up on a hapless Minnesota team, but they've struggled. Jordan Love has been up and down. They haven't had really good connections, and Detroit has also been struggling. They haven't looked the same, even though they got their running game going. How do you think Detroit's going to do at home in the first 1 o'clock or 6 p.m. game in the UK for the first Thanksgiving game?
These are great Thanksgiving games, by the way. They're all good.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna be fun. Oh man, this is so hard. I don't like what I see from the Packers passing game, but I also don't like what
Hmm.
I see from Jared Goff. Jared Goff's looked bad in multiple games. Like even last week, that this team just again, this is what happens. You lose your coordinator. I don't think anyone thought Dan Campbell was like Belichick. That he was just
Yeah.
like all he's the because I think he was very dependent on how good Ben Johnson was and how good Aaron Glenn was. For that reason, I am going to take the Packers. I think the fact that
Ooh.
they can. I just think again the way the Lions looked against the way Jameis carved him up for 340 with only really one Dale Robinson. So the fact that this Lions team can be getting their corners are injured, they're
Yeah.
really kind of banged up, and they're really dependent on big play sacks with Hutchinson. And if the Packers can just play smart, run the ball. Move it around. Christian Watson's looking better. He's looking healthier each week. I like Micah Parsons to kind of really make it tough under the lights. I just think it's going to be a really fun close game. I'm going to go 24-21. Packers win. I think the Lions at home, I just think they're going to focus on stopping Gibbs and make Jared Goff beat you. And hopefully, in those situations, Micah Parsons can win his one-on-one situation.
Yeah, I don't have any faith, and it's again, I think I like Detroit at home. Detroit in the dome, Thanksgiving. This is a home crown. Eminem will be there.
Ah,
They're going to
that'd
feast
be fun.
off this. So I just think that Green Bay has been too inconsistent, and they've relied too much on their defense. So the fact is, Detroit has a lot of tools at their disposal when it comes to getting this offense going, and there's only so much Micah can do, particularly when the backfield is easily exploitable. So I can see Amon-Ra St. Brown having a great game as well in this one. I've got it 30-20. I think there'll be a lot of points scored in this one. But at the first Turkey Bowl, I've got Detroit winning it Takes us into Dallas, another perennial Thanksgiving host. They're hosting the Kansas City Chiefs in a must-win game for both teams because Dallas actually is starting to sniff playoffs, which we never thought was going to happen earlier when they were taking so many losses. But that trade seems to invigorated them. Kansas City, 3-point favorites. They're 6-5. Heading into a Dallas team who's 5-5-1. 52 points is the over/under. Vegas is anticipating bad D across both of these. And we talked about the struggles that Kansas City had. They're favored in this one, but is this a disrespect to Dallas and Dallas at home for a turkey bowl?
I mean, it's not really because Kansas City under the biggest lights always seems to show up, regardless of the situation. I didn't love their win last week. I think if they would have came out and had a kind of a dominating, commanding win against the Colts. The fact that they had to basically crawl and scratch their way back and have to wait for an offense like the Colts to make so many mistakes, three and outs. I don't think Dallas makes those mistakes, those three and
Yeah.
outs. I think they can move it with Pickens and Lamb, and they have the weapons. And I think the Chiefs, when they're getting to get games where they have to kind of shoot it out, it's the fact that they can't run it 30 times with uh with Kareem Hunt this time. I think that's a terrible way to play football, especially. And I'm going to take the Cowboys to win. I'm going to go with a little upset special. I just think they can kind of sling it with the best of them. So, and I think the Chiefs kind of let teams stick around. They don't really have that kind of knockout punch that they had over the last couple of years. They're really struggling with their receivers. Because Xavier Worthy's been really quiet, even Andy Reid's calling him out. So this once great receiver core, like kind of Buffalo, is really Rashee Rice dependent right now. And if they can kind of just stop him, we've seen Mahomes have bad games over and over again. He started out the season really, really strong. In the last couple games, he's been mediocre at best. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs, the Cowboys to win.
I got the Chiefs to win, but Dallas to cover. I think it's going to be a close game. I've got it 28-26 for Kansas City to win, but I think Dallas, to your point, is going to be feisty. This is at home. This is Turkey. This is Jerry Jones yelling at people. Kansas City has had up and down. But I just think they're the better team in this. We're going to be a little bit more prepared. They're going to have some preparation for Dak, but you can't really slow down. I mean, Pickens seems to be a bit injured. Hopefully, and CD says he'll be back too. So I don't know. But I'd like Dallas to cover this one. I still think Kansas City will win because the refs will probably be on their side since they're not going to be at the Philly game. So I got it
That is true.
28-26. Chiefs win, but Dallas covers. The final game we have, Battle of the AFC North, as Joe Burrow will be back. They're probably going to wrap him in bubble wrap. They're 3-8 Cincinnati, heading into, as we said, a lackluster Baltimore team who are 6-5, 7-point favorites in this one. Baltimore at home, the weather will be frightful tomorrow. It's going to be snow. It's going to be windy. So, I'm looking at my score now, and I'm probably going to have to cut that down just because I think it's not going to be as high scoring as we think. The over-under in this one is 51.5. I just don't know if it's going to get that bad with the weather that they're saying. What do you think of Baltimore at home heading in this division rivalry?
Well, I think if Joe Burrow plays, I think Jamar Chase coming off a suspension is going to be angry, and if T. Higgins plays and isn't injured, I'm going to go with the Bengals. I think the fact that is Joe Burrow playing? Is it confirmed? Yeah, we don't know.
That's what they said. Yeah.
It said, yeah, he is playing. Okay, so I am going to take the Bengals. I just feel like Joe Burrow's just gonna he's gonna have that edge to him. He's gonna want to come out here, sling it around the field. I think even though the weather, I've seen Joe Burrow. He played in this game in Buffalo in the snow, and he absolutely lit us up. It didn't really make any difference. Didn't really affect
Yeah.
his game at all. I just think they're kind of now. To be honest, the Bengals can't really lose another game the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens can lose a game and still win the division. I think because I think the Pittsburgh's going to hit a real tough patch in their schedule right now, and I think with a 41-year-old Rodgers in December, he's not going to want to get hit in that weather. So I'm going to go 27-23 Bengals. I just think Lamar's a bit hurt, and that Bengals D was a bit feisty against the Patriots. They got a pick six, they stuffed them on the goal line. They're playing a bit harder than they were at the beginning of the season, and I just like the Bengals this one.
Yeah, I got the Bengals to cover, but since Baltimore to win in this one, I originally had this one 31. I don't know about the points in this one just because of the weather. I've got a 24-21 now. I think Baltimore wins. Cincinnati's able to cover this one. The weather will play a factor, and it is going to be at night, so you're just going to have a lot of crap coming around sideways. Derrick Henry, obviously, the Cincinnati's defense is struggling, and this could be a one. The Cincinnati's been weak against the run, so if Henry gets going in this one, it's going to be very tough to stop, particularly if they can get Mark Andrews involved. But again, I don't even know about Lamar. This could be one, to your point, that if Lamar is injured and doesn't really show up, and you got Tyler Huntley in there, this is what a game is going to start trending towards towards Cincinnati. So it'd be a close game, interesting to watch. But I like Cincinnati to at least cover this one. The big Black Friday game, which we haven't had before, but these are lovely, aren't they? Especially when the Bears are playing. Bears 8-3, Philly eight and
Yeah.
three. Bears heading into Philadelphia on a Friday or a Friday 1 o'clock game, 6 o'clock in the UK. Philadelphia 7-point favorites, 44.5 over under. As we said, Philadelphia has not looked that demonstrative, but the Bears have also looked kind of weak and had to rally in the fourth quarter. How do you like my Bears' chances against a Super Bowl defending champions?
I mean, not great. I don't love them. I think on the road in this kind of situation is going to be tough. I think, especially Philly coming off a bad loss against Dallas. Again, and your team has gotten a lot of nice victories, little kind of been on a nice little run. But I feel like, this is where it kind of it's going to be a bit tougher for Caleb, harder sledding. They're going to be able to get at him. And I think Caleb still does hold on to the ball. He's incredible at avoiding the sacks and sneaking away. But I think Philly's going to have some answers for them. I think the Eagles, the fact that, Pittsburgh was able to put 28 up on the Bears. The Bears defense can get turnovers, but it gives up points. It gives up yards. And I think that's something that might be really helpful for Saquon to be able to run it. I think this game is a shootout, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to go Eagles 30-26. I just think the Bears give up a lot of points and they score a lot of points. I think the Eagles, as good as their defense has been, I think Ben Johnson's going to have a couple tricks for Black Friday. Maybe like a trick play, a classic Ben Johnson move that we haven't really seen much of this year, but I think he's holding on to them for the right time. So
Yeah, and
I'm going
I
with the
agree
Eagles.
with you too. And I think the way that Loveland has been playing too, I can see him factoring into one of these trick plays as well. I'm with you. Kind of, I think Philadelphia losing last week and being at home, and just that defense just being how solid it is, and the Bears struggling against it. You can see Saquon having a good game too, because we are weak against the run. We still have too many injuries across the linebacker core. So I've got Philadelphia to win 26-20. I don't think that they'll cover that 7-point spread. I think Philadelphia or the Bears will keep it closer, but I do have Philadelphia to beat my Bears. Little eye-opening game, but I think it'll still 8-4, not bad. Let's head into some Sunday games where we have a Houston team which is 6-5. Finding a bit of resurgence now under Davis Mills. But they're going into a Colts team who just lost. They're in the Dome. Colts are 8-3. 4.5-point favorites in this one. Houston defense did a number on Josh Allen, taking more pumps than Bonnie Blue. But you've got the Colts at home, 4.5-point favorites, 44 points over under. Houston did a good job on Buffalo last week. But then again, if you look at the record, Houston's actually beat Buffalo for the past 6 times or something like that.
Yeah,
How do you
it's
like
not great.
how do you like Indianapolis at home after losing to the Chiefs? Both these teams, emotional win
Well,
to versus
I
emotional loss.
I think there's a chance Stroud comes back. I mean, he's had a concussion. He's been out a couple weeks. Concussions usually don't. He's not like Tua. He's not making the
Hmm.
fencing positions. I think even with Stroud I'm going to go with the Texans. I just think this defense is just going to make life hell on Daniel Jones. I think again they have to just commit like what it is. You saw kind of with the Chiefs is that stop Jonathan Taylor and let Daniel Jones beat you. You got Derek
Yeah,
Stingley. You got great, absolutely killer secondary. You got killer front four. They're going to come at. I think the Texans just their running game stinks. They're really Nico Collins dependent,
Collins.
and if they could kind of shut him down with Sauce Gardner now, which is going to kind of help them a bit. So I think this one a low scoring game. I think it's a bit ugly, but I'm going to go with the Texans 20.
I got Indy at home just only because of the team that they've got. I think we're worried about them sort of in the trajectory going down, but this is a win. I think it was a wake up call. They lost to the KC, and they know division game here. If they lose this game and you go to 8-4, and in Houston's 7-5, this is tough. You don't want to watch it, particularly when the Jaguars are 7-4 as well. This is a division they had in hand, and now they're sort of watching it all fall apart. I think this is where they right the ship, get everything ready. Jonathan Taylor has a big game. I've got it 24-16. Indianapolis wins. Tampa Bay struggling. Baker Mayfield will not be back in this one. Tampa Bay 6-5. Everyone was talking Super Bowl champs when they were winning, but they're only 3-point favorites against an Arizona team who plays some really tough defense. Jacoby Brissett also can ball. The Bucks are only 3-point favorites at home with a 44-point over under. A lot of injuries across this Buccaneers team, and you've got Arizona who doesn't have a lot of guys either, but they're playing really ballsy football. How do you like Tampa Bay at home?
I like the Cardinals. I just think again, I think Baker's this is kind of what he's got a bad shoulder, and it's kind of what he kicked him out of Cleveland. Like he played that season with a bum shoulder, played terribly,
Hmm.
couldn't get any wins, and then everyone thought he sucked, but he was hurt. And that's kind of where he's gone down this road now. And I think if the Bucks are smart, I'd probably just, I mean, if it's bad, I wouldn't let him play through the pain and risk messing it up further. This team is just decimated. I just don't think you could throw. I don't think Baker's the type of guy who you can say put the team on my back and carry us, will us to victory because he needs the Mike Evans and Bukas and he needs his weapons. He needs Bucky Irving, who might not be back. And the Cardinals are just playing kind of. They got McBride. They got a good offense going. They can pass it. Now they're going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. back, which is going to make them even tougher. And the Bucks D can't really stop anybody right now. They're missing pieces and they're hurt. And I just think the Cardinals are kind of a sneaky team that can play a bit of spoiler down the line and make this division. This division could be 9-8, 8-9, winning it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't really even surprise me at the end because of all the injuries. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals to win 27-21.
I also have Arizona to win. It's that defense which has been playing really well as well. And to your point, if Harrison gets back, if Tampa Bay, it does not look like they're saying Baker will not be playing in this game. So, in that case, you've got everyone rested. I don't know. Sometimes you can jump behind a backup quarterback and go, okay, this guy's got something to prove, but I don't think they will. I think it's going to be a tough loss at home. I've got Arizona winning this one 23-20. Arizona gets their fourth win of the season. It's another division game as Jacksonville 7-4 heading into a Tennessee team who are 1-10. Cam Ward must be very happy about his choice of getting picked up by these guys. Jacksonville 6.5 point favorites. 42 points is the over under. Which Trevor Lawrence will we see in this one, or will Liam Cohen rely on his running game again? How do you like Tennessee at home on a Thanksgiving weekend?
I am going to take the Titans. I'm a little upset. I
Oh,
think even the Jags won last game. They were terrible. Like, he was
yeah.
Trevor Lawrence did not play well in that game. Again, they're winning ugly games. They've won a couple in a row, and they had that big win against the Chargers. And I just think the Titans are playing a bit better. Cam Ward's playing better. They're at home. I think you have something to play for with what happened with Seattle, and I think you want to play spoiler. You know the Jags, and I think every now and then there's these weird games in the division. I think this is going to be that one where you get that kind of big upset. Titans can kind of sniff it. Like they've been just kind of fight. They almost beat Houston 2 weeks ago, 16-19. That went to
Hmm.
overtime. And I just think it's their time. I think the ETN could run it. They could, but I still think Trevor Lawrence is going to give you a bad pick. And if Cam Ward could just play smart, confident football, I see a little bit of an upset. Nice little fun. Every now and then we need one. I'm going 26-23. Jags win. Oh no, sorry, Titans win.
Titans win. Yeah, I just think 6.5 is a lot. When we have seen the Titans play inspired football, I think that nobody wants to be the worst team. No one wants to be that dumpster fire. Nobody wants to be that crap team that everyone just runs over because Carolina was used to that. I think they can keep it close. I just think Jacksonville still is a better team. Jacksonville can get that running game
Oh, they're
going. So I've got
definitely a better team.
Jacksonville to win, but I think
Yeah.
I think Tennessee will cover it. So I've got it 21-17 Jacksonville, but I think that they'll be able to keep it a little bit closer. It's going to be a tough game because this one is a 10.5 point spread as the LA Rams are 9-2 and they're heading into a Carolina team who again is looking for, maybe a playoff spot in this division. Carolina 6-6, 45.5 is the over under. Carolina at home in this game. Rams firing on all cylinders. They're getting everyone back. Does Carolina have a chance at this one? They're at home, but this is the Rams and the Rams have probably one of the best Ds in all of the game right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't see it. I think the Panthers won a couple games because of their running game, where they were able to get Rico Dowdle. We had 200 games back to back. They just don't have that anymore. They can't run. Rico Dowdle's been bad. I have him on fantasy. Trust me, he's killing me every week. He's
Yeah.
getting 50 yards now. I might see Chuba Hubbard come back and get his job back. And I think if you need Bryce Young to go toe to toe with Stafford, exchanging back and forth against that defense with Verse and all that, I just don't see it happening. I think the Rams just kind of take care of business. I think Bryce Young, when he has to play kind of up against the big dogs and kind of go to, I just don't see it. He has to be situational, like when he played a broken Atlanta team or something like that. So I'm going
Yeah.
30-17 for the Rams. I just think the Rams right now are the hottest team in football, and I don't see the Panthers stop.
Yeah, I've got it 30-16 for the same reason. LA is just too much. They're going to have everything. They'll build a big up lead and maybe coast a bit, but it's going to be up to Bryce, and he's going to make some mistakes against that defense. They're going to harass him all games. I can't see, Carolina, it's been fun. You got 6 wins, but you're going to take your seventh loss in this one. Bit of an ugly game as New Orleans is 2-9, playing some plucky football, except last week against the Falcons. Miami 4-7, 6-point favorites in this game. Miami at home 41.5 is the over under. Devin A. Chain had big running game in Washington when they played in Spain the last game, but will Miami be able to rally in this one against the New Orleans team, who again is desperate for some wins? 6-point favorites. Does Miami deserve that?
I mean, I guess they're playing what, Blau or Slough or whatever his
Slough,
name is.
yeah. Tyler
Yeah, I
Slough.
mean, I think again, I think the Dolphins are bad, but again, they still have Tua and Waddle. They still have Achan. They can still score points if they have to. They're playing a bad team. They're in a dome, so this, oh, sorry, not in a dome. They're in Miami, so the weather will
Yeah.
probably have an effect and probably help them in situation. I just think the Saints are bad, and I think everyone kind of knew they were going to be one of the worst teams in football, and I just don't see any way they go on the road with a rookie quarterback against a desperate team who Miami's still technically in it. They've won a couple in a row, so I think Dolphins just kind of take them and just kind of take them out back, wood chipper, throw them in the wood chipper. So I'm gonna go 27-14 for the Dolphins to win.
I actually like New Orleans to cover this one. I think that they've just playing some desperate football. And they, aside from the game last week, they've been playing some all right football. They've been keeping themselves close in some of these games. I think this is a game where Miami's also has a lot of weaknesses and they don't have as many tools at their disposal. So I've got Miami to win it, but New Orleans to cover. I got a 22-21, low scoring game. But New Orleans tries to keep a little bit of saving face for themselves, but loses in the end. Kirk Cousins came back, and he looked like a bit of the Kirk Cousins of old last week when they beat New Orleans. They are 2.5-point favorites as the Falcons are 4-7. Heading into a New York Jets team who are 2-9, abysmal New York Jets team. The over/under in this one is 39. Vegas knows not a lot of points in this one. Which Kirk Cousins will we see in this game? And what can the Jets do to, maybe get a win at home in this one?
I mean, if Drake London doesn't play, it's going to be hard for Kirk Cousins to do much. I think this just has to be the Bijan game. Just do it. Just give it to him all day long. That's what they should be doing, especially with Cousins right now. This Jets team, again, can be scored on. They played well against Baltimore, but they still got a bit of fight in them. Maybe Aaron Glenn's kind of getting through to them a bit. But I mean, if Garrett, they have nobody on offense. Like Brees Hall's fine, but Brees Hall is just not going to like change a game like Bijan can. Like Bijan Robinson should show the difference between Bijan and Brees Hall, and I think you got to feed them. I think the fact that the Falcons see a little bit of life in the division with Baker being down, with Bryce having to now having this tough game coming up against who they play. We just talked about it. They got that tough game coming up, but I just think the Falcons win. I think Cousins is better. Tyrod, this team, even though it's in Jets, so someone's knees blown out. So hopefully,
Yeah.
fingers crossed, it's not your team or Bijan. It's
Yeah.
just basically wrap them up. So I'm gonna go with the Falcons to win 20-16.
Yeah, I'm with you on Atlanta. I think Kirk Cousins gets it back. Bijan does it. It looks like London is trending towards playing, so that's a good sign. I just think Atlanta is too much for them. And, it's just been a very disappointing season for the Falcons, who've been so mercurial on this
Mm.
one. So I've got Atlanta to win 24-14. Heading on our final game of the 1 o'clock or 6 o'clock slate games in the UK, San Francisco is 8-4. Cleveland is 2-9, but that defense and Myles Garrett has just been fun to watch. But Shadur Sanders is not going to have the same easy defense he had last week. San Francisco's defense is also quite solid. San Fran 8-4, Cleveland 2-9. San Fran's 5-point favorites in this one with a 38-point over under. Cleveland at home, but are they going to be able to slow down these 49ers?
I mean, they'll sack Purdy like 4 times. Like Garrett's going to break the NFL record, which is amazing. He's just been an
Mm-hmm.
absolute monster. I don't think, again, I think you got to give Robert Saleh some credit this year. Like he's lost some guys, and this San Francisco defense plays hard every week. They're able to shut
Mm-hmm.
down no matter what. The fact that, I think Purdy had like 3 picks last game, and they were still able to kind of
Yeah,
keep
ugly
them.
picks.
Yeah, ugly. So they were able to kind of keep them in, and I think this Browns defense is just going to make it hard for this Niners offense. They make it hard for everyone, but I just think there's just a huge gap, and I think Shadur's going to Salah's going to have some tricks up his sleeve for Shadur to kind of if he was feeling himself after this week. So I think he's at home, he's got the home crowd behind him, but I just think the Niners have too many just better players. They can get Kittle. If they get Kittle going, they get McCaffrey going. They should be enough. I just don't think the Browns have enough punch, like a counter punch in them if they go
Yeah.
down. And I think Shanahan's a better coach, so I'm going to go 28-14 for San Francisco. I don't really think it'll be that close.
Yeah, no, I mean the only counterpunch you can do is Jawan Jennings right in the nuts, as we saw last
Yeah.
week. Again, yeah, I think San Fran. I mean, it's going to be tough. The middle of the field's going to be tough for Kittle. They're going to try to put the lock on CMC, but again, there's going to be too many tools at the disposal. And it'll be interesting with Mac Jones. Just sort of watching Purdy has not looked the same since Mac Jones has been there. It's like he's nervous looking over his shoulder. It's like this guy looks like me, he plays like me. But I think San Fran. I think Cleveland will keep it closer, though. I've got it 23-20. I think, they're going to keep that defense going. If they can get Judkins going and keep that running game, that'll be good for them. But San Fran will find ways to shut it down. But I've got Cleveland to cover, San Fran to win. Heading into our 4 o'clock slate games, 9 o'clock in the UK. By the way, there are some Thanksgiving games. If you want to watch Thanksgiving in London, check our website out. This is the Sam Darnold Bowl, as Minnesota is 4-7, heading into Sam Darnold's home. Seattle 9-2, 10.5-point favorites. As we said, Jamarcus Russell and JJ McCarthy have pretty much the same stats from their first year, which isn't a good sign.
That's bad.
Is Seattle 9-2, 10.5-point favorites, 41.5 over under. Does Minnesota have a chance in this one? Can Flores do anything, or is angry Sam Darnold just going to run amok in this game, especially with the running game?
You feel like they're gonna want to stick it to him. They're gonna want to kind of. I think Flores at least knows Sam Darnold. Practicing on, they know how to kind of maybe do some of his tendencies, but they're also going against Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I don't see how you stop them, especially when you got a McCarthy who's given at least 2 to 3 turnovers and going up against literally one of the best defenses, one of the best defensive coaches in Mike McDonald. So I don't see any chance. Like I know I think the Seahawks learned a lesson about how kind of letting Tennessee stick around, and I don't think they're going to want to do that. And I don't know, man. I think you might even see JJ McCarthy get benched this game if he doesn't have a fake injury going into it. I don't see anyway. I think they're going to want to have Darnold like 3 touchdowns. I think this is going to be a beatdown by I'm going to go 30-16 for Seahawks.
I think they already have talked about McCarthy being benched. I think Bomer, is that his name? Boomer or Bomer. I think he might be playing in this one. Again, Seattle, they've got too much. Their defense is strong enough to shut down Minnesota's run. They'll put a lot of pressure no matter what Flores tries to hit them with. I think there's just going to be so much anger, and screw you going into this. I got it 33-14, and I think Seattle just does easy business in this one, moving themselves, gets their 10th win. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's going to be playing at home. It's Buffalo 3.5-point favorites. They got Brandon Cooks, as we talked about. Buffalo 7-4 after that beating by Houston last week in Pittsburgh. 6-5 after taking a loss to the Bears. Rodgers is sort of trending, coming back. 47.5 is the over/under. Obviously the Bills have to be disappointed with what happened in Houston. And they're going to take it out on Steelers, or do you think Mike Tomlin's got something up his sleeves for the Bills?
It's tough because again, they just lack any sort of weapons really. They have to throw it to Gainwell all the time at the back to get touchdowns. DK Metcalf got banged up a couple times in the game last time, so he's a big guy who does kind of sometimes have a little history of injury. So I think this is good for the Bills that they're going against a QB with no running ability, that they can kind of maybe try and get some sacks. Because the Bills against Houston didn't even sniff Davis Mills. So I just don't know what to expect from this defense. I think they'll give up points. I think this game is going to be close. It'll probably come down to a field goal. I just don't see the Bills all putting up like 30 or 40 like in old times. I think the fact that Ben Johnson but I have more faith in Ben Johnson as a play caller than Joe Brady. I don't even think Duncan Cade will be back, so I just don't know what to expect. I feel the Bills are very Jekyll and Hyde. When they get called out, like what has happened to this team, they usually bounce back with like Josh Allen's 6 touchdown game. So I think Josh Allen has a bounce back game. I think the Bills win, but I'm going to go 24-20. Just covering.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one the Bills have to win. And I think, Pittsburgh's going to look at what Houston did and try to get their defense going to try to put pressure on Allen. Allen, obviously, is going to scrambles like Caleb Williams does. But there's more in it here for Buffalo. I think, as you say, they're bringing in new wide receivers. You've got Brandon Cooks going in there. And, you've got some other receivers that they're trying to put together. So I think this will be a win for Buffalo. I've got it 26-20. I just think they're a better team than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh will get shown up here because Buffalo knows that, you don't want New England. It looks like New England's going to take this division. So you got to make sure that you're going to be in the playoffs as well. 26-20, I have it. Heading into Los Angeles, where the Chargers are 7-4, 9.5 point favorites over a Las Vegas team. Chip Kelly's gone, as we mentioned. This was a guy that a lot of people thought they could bring in. He was the most expensive offensive coordinator. He's gone going into Week 13. Chargers have not looked great, though. Let's be honest.
No.
But they're 9.5 point favorites in this one. 41.5 the over under. The Chargers really need this one. Vegas is playing with nothing left to lose. How do you like
Yeah.
Chargers at home against this depleted Raiders team?
The house is won in the Raiders' position. The
Yeah.
house has taken them for everything they got. I don't see this being close. The fact that the Chargers are on a bye and they've had weeks to prepare for a Raider team. The fact that they're at home. This team's in meltdown mode. The Raiders completely. They can't get anything going. All you really have to do is Gino was their leading rusher last week. They're not even using
Hmm.
Gen Their offensive line stink. Their defense stinks. So I think this is like 30-7 Chargers. I just don't see any way that this game is even close. I might even bet this one because it feels like it's going to be that easy with the extra preparing time. Jim Harbaugh at home, a bit healthier. So I just don't see any way. I'm going 37 Chargers. I think the Raiders stink. I don't think they win another game this year.
Yeah, I could see that as well. A lot of reset going on there. And I'm with you. I think the Chargers win this one. Having that week off, getting a few guys healthier on this one, they've got to work on their protection of Justin Herbert. I mean, Vegas doesn't, aside from Crosby, they don't bring a lot of heat to the quarterback, but they have to shore that up because that's been a really bad problem for them, not giving Herbert enough time to get rid of this ball. I like the Chargers to win at home 28-18. I think that, they're going to have to, Vegas is going to have to do something, but I just can't see them doing enough to get the win here. Chargers win at home. Heading into our night game Sunday night, it is Denver 9-2, and they're playing a Washington team who is 3-8. A lot of disappointment happening in Washington. Only 3 wins. 6.5 point favorites for Denver in this one. 43.5 is the over under. Washington has got to be sort of looking at themselves, going, "What the hell happened?" Whereas Denver, Sean Payton has been getting better as the season goes on. How does Washington stop them, or can they? Is this going to be an easy
I
rollover for
mean,
the Broncos?
no, I'm good. This is just the problem with the Commanders when you had that going to the NFC Championship. Team was fine, but it wasn't great. They just kind of got lucky, big catches. They're old. They're the oldest team in the league, and you don't have
Yeah,
your quarterback. You have your quarterback out for the year. So and you go against the toughest defense. This feels like beat down written all over it. The Broncos, I think, were off last week, so
yeah,
they've had time to prepare. I think they're gonna have a feast on Mariota. I don't think they do anything. I think the Broncos can air it out and score. I just see like a big RJ Harvey game, maybe his first
yeah,
kind of breakout game, which would be good because I'm starting him, so I'd like that. That would be nice to happen. And I just think the Broncos right now look like they're fighting for that number one seed with the Patriots, and this is a gimme. This is a layup. You can't have those games now when you're getting into December. It's got to be button up operation. You got to take care of business on the bad team,
yeah.
which I think they will. I'm going to go 31-10 for the Broncos.
Yeah, I've got it 33-13. Again, to your point, I think RJ Harvey is going to run right through them. There's got to be, for at least the Washington team, to look at it and go, what the hell happened? Like, how did we go from contenders to just flops? And, I don't think this is the time to do it. You're going to have to do it in the offseason now. Just continue to take losses in a division where you're seeing the Cowboys rise. But Denver just has so much, and that defense is just going to make it very difficult for whoever's under center. The final game is a Monday night game, and it's two teams on opposite sides of the spectrum. The Giants are 2-10. New England is 10-2. 7.5 point favorites for the Pats at home. 46.5 is the over under. Giants have, Jackson Dart looks like he'll probably be back for this one. But the Patriots are sort of coasting along here, though, although it wasn't as easy sailing in the past couple games. How do you like the Patriots at home against a Giants team with nothing to lose?
You know, I kind of see a sneaky little upset in this one. I think the fact that the offensive line injuries are going to be big, and I think you can get Drake May to make mistakes. Like he threw a bad pick six. He's been known to
Mhm.
again when you pressure him. The problem is he's been healthy. He's been sitting there back there, just be able to kind of hitting the deep ball all over the field. I think the Giants are going to be able, knowing that the left side is injured. I think it's going to hurt the Patriots' chances of running, which is going to hurt any chances of passing because Drake May's going to have to throw it really quickly. So they're going to have to go back to the old Tom Brady dink and dunk short passing game, I think, to win this. But I just think the Giants are kind of fun. They're kind of like that. No, nothing to lose. They got this interim coach who's just, if even with Jameis was able to bring up almost 400 yards from Jameis. So I think they're going to make it tough, and I think it's low scoring. I think this game is like 17. I'm going to go 17-16, like a really ugly, low scoring game. And I'm going to go with the Giants for the little bit of a sneaky little upset on Monday night.
I like the Giants, but I don't like them to upset. I can see the Patriots still winning, but I can see, as to your point, that that front of the Giants is no joke, and they're going to take advantage of that. So I've got New England winning at 26-21. I still think that New England is the better team. They'll get it going at home, but the Giants might come out early, build up a big lead, and it's going to be up to the Patriots to win it and secure it. That's it for our Week 13 predictions, folks. The season is flying along. As I said, we do have there's some parties we've put up on our website if you're doing something for Thanksgiving, and make sure you check out all our socials. Enjoy your Week 13 game, folks. Have a good Thanksgiving for anyone who's celebrating it, and we'll see you next week.